that which is hurt. Okay, the ultimate aim of this scripture is more to self-realization. More to self-realization, more to invoke the inner self. This is where you can see a lot of saints, gurus, all these various people. They go in this path and ultimately to find the self-realization, to be oneness with the so-called God. Okay? In the other side is the secondary scripture, which is called Smriti. That which is remembered and explained, including like Vedas and Manusmriti and all the things. I mean, that is been written through, it's a secondary scripture based on the first primary scripture. This more to explanation. Okay? These are two structures. For example, like Hindu, for example, this is a very, can I share some jokes with you?
Yeah.
Because, so if you see God, G-O-D, generator, operator, destroyer. you know, G-O-D means God, generator, operates and destroys. I mean, that's what, that means somebody who creates you, somebody who operates you, somebody who destroys. That means he takes you back where the source comes from. So, if you see the Hindu scriptures, like you see, we saw Brahma, you have heard about Brahma, you have heard about Vishnu, we heard about Shiva and all the things. Who are they? Actually, in Hinduism, we believe in one God. But why this structure came from? So that you have to understand. So in Brahma, I mean the creator, that means it's somebody who creates you. It's not somebody who creates you, nothing to do with that. It's actually, if you see with the four heads, actually in life, you have to survive this knowledge with this four direction of life. Four direction of life. That means you must seek everywhere in your life to get that knowledge. That's why his spouse is called Saraswati. The spouse. Why? Because she came to that portion of his life, so that the knowledge is always there. That's why one deity is called there. So-called generates, The other one is operates. If he's the next person, is called Vishnu, Mahavishnu. For some people, it's the primary God. But Vishnu mean, what is actually meaning of Vishnu mean? If you see, if in the picturize, they picturize it because they put him on a snake. He lies down and is more relaxed, and beside is the mother of wealth, which is Lakshmi, sits beside him. What is this for? What is this for? Because she, in the first context, that means any human being, whatever task he's doing, he must totally peace of mind and relax himself. That's why he said 1,000 heads of snakes on his head, 1,000 snakes on his head, but he lies down in peaceful mode. That's how any task you are given to you, you must be in well focused, relax your mind, then you go to that's where the wealth, the happiness will come to you. If you're all the time problem, what will happen? Nothing. Of course, the other part is where you attain the power within you, Sakti. So that's why if you see the head, the Shiva Linga, the head, our head, if you shave and see, it is the shape of the Linga. Why? It is structured, and here they put a snake here. It's actually very symbolically they tell it indirectly a message to you. Okay? A message to you. So it means, that means that your mind and your heart cannot concentrate together. So sometimes your heart says something, your mind says something, and that's where that's why the poisonous snake is here. You don't divide. That's why if you can differentiate your mind with that structure, then the power in itself will come to. So you see, that's how Hinduism illustrates every structure. There is a hidden message in every structure of Hinduism. Next slide, please. Okay, example of some code in the Rig Veda is one ancient Veda, the Rig Veda. That is not even I've gone through a single Veda downgrade woman. Not even a single Veda or single downgrade woman. Then they are very highlighted. Like for example, some example, 10.26, a woman will provide bliss and stability to the world. Her job is to support stability and bliss to the world. Okay, like 10.8546, may you be impressed and lead all your success. That means she must take the lead in the family to make the family to be successful. So another quotation here, 20.85, a noble frame path of true loving and harmony. That means she will be harmonized. That means she makes sure the family goes in harmonized. And then comes to 3.3, equality in dividing even property. those days people say, oh no, woman has no right. No. Even in Hinduism, property is equally divided. Even she can be a girl or a man. Doesn't matter, whatever it is. And she's given equal right to education. And chapter 1 on page 13, a woman has the same equal education, property, everything is equal. I've never come across any single verdict of in Hinduism version. Nothing, they put it down. Only thing is a misinterpretation and misconception. Okay. Alright, so we have 1 minute left. So I will go further later on the other structures. Thank you very much.
Now this is a 1 minute sign for you guys to look at it. Okay. And sometimes, this will frighten people. That when you see this, okay, I have to stop. Okay, but it's okay. I mean, Dr. Subra have elaborated on that. Now, why we say that this interfaith dialogue will not be the same interfaith dialogue that you used to watch before? The reason being, most of the time that we have interfaith dialogue is that we go on the very surface. Okay, as we observe and as per research, you can see that most of it is just touch on the surface. But now we are using UTP as a platform to move further, to move ahead in terms of how we conduct the future interfaith dialogue. Why the first round is more on, let all the speakers to explain what is the view of their particular religions related to women. Because as per se, people will say that this is all textbook, corporate kind of explanation. All the good things, right? But definitely, all these three religions, we have something similar, which is the belief in God, in which all agree that God exists. And these three religions has been made as a mockery by those people who disbelieve in God. So we have a lot of things that we can work together as a common terms. This, as the Quran says in Surah Al-Imran chapter 3, verse 64. قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. Say to the people of the book, come to common terms between us and you. So we have a lot of common terms. And now we're going to go to the hot and spicy. We're going to deal with the sensitive issues. Maybe some of you might have heard it before. This might be new to you. So please pay attention. And since Dr. Subra is the last speaker, so now we give him the first. Okay? So since that you guys are happy, when I give him the first, and this is all CIMB is all about. Yes? Ada Cina, ada Melayu, ada Cina, ada India, ada Melayu, B apa? Ada Bangla. From Bangladesh. Okay, CIMB. Fulfill hari ini. No, this is our colleague, okay? So we you see, this is to tell us that, that one of the things that to move forward is that, yes, we are discussing a very serious topic, but yet it can be in a very jovial mode. You don't have to fight, you don't have to go to war for that things. Okay, now, let's go to Dr. Subra. And this is very interesting because there's a lot of accusations and mockery. And the theme for the second round will be men's and women's equality in religion. The issues of, is women really equal to men? Because throughout the civilization, it seems like always being perceived that women is always not as equal as men. And this is where we're going to delve into the scriptures. Now, Dr. Subra, according to just now, you guys still remember the Shruti and Smriti? Yeah. What does it mean? I know it's a scripture. You see? Now, Doctor, we know why the students failed in the exam. This is not something just few hours ago, but just few minutes ago. Okay, now your lecturer will know why our students failed. Okay, now, there is a Shruti, there is a Smriti. I'm going to talk about something in Smriti, which is in Manusmriti. It says, as verbatim quotation, it says, never trust a woman, never sit alone with a woman, even if it may be your mother. She may tempt you. Do not sit alone with your daughter. She may tempt you. Do not sit alone with your sister. She may tempt you. And further in the same Manusmriti, it says, no liberty for women in society. And this has been used by people who disbelieve in God and claim, how can religion make sense? So Dr. Subra, the questions will be, does those kind of verses that other people are using out there, does these kind of verses really degrade the status of woman? And actually, what is the correct understanding about these verses, and how should someone react when they come to such verses? This is only one of it. Maybe there are more. So maybe how should they react in that sense? So this round, still the same, 8 minutes. So the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you again. Just to illustrate, you see, ultimately, what was the aim behind this woman issue? Can anyone highlight? Why was woman thing was like some form of highlighted, protected, and so for why? You see, being the hypnotherapy and psychologist. Okay, let me illustrate. When a guy attained his puberty age, puberty age I think about 14 or so and all, his sex drive, agree with me? Huh? Agree with me. Because I went through the same process. Everybody went. It goes to the peak. That's context term. There's a scientific term, context term. It goes increase in high. In fact, 50% of his sex drive increase during that, especially the teenage period. Okay? Anybody disagree? Nobody disagrees. It's true. Increase tremendously, 100%. Okay? And what when they go in the later age? But everybody forgot, woman goes through the same process. Nobody can deny it. But because of a fear doctrinated was implanted in a woman, okay, why the fear was? Because of she got illegal pregnancy. That was the fear doctrinated. So in that context, what they did was, they were, from young itself, they always disregard the man as a separate entity, or especially when the woman attains puberty and onward, no, you must be separated from the man, go sit away and everything, because that tendency of the worried of under. So that's why if you see in Indian culture, especially that's what the question is, Indian culture, when a young man, they will always divert themselves for the religious studies. They will go for their they call ashram studies and everything, and the women are diverted for classical dancing and musical and all the things. Why? To divert attention to that area of life. And those days, if you see the Indian culture, women are married in a very young age. Why? Because the parents very afraid of them to be exposed to this, so that she don't be misled by these hormones that interact inside. That's why they were given hard labors. They were like being tortured. It's not tortured, but in the sense that they were hard labor. They had to go to paddy field. They had to use the lasung and all the thing, get things like they make them exhausted until they, right? Let me say they divert the mind from that one topic, which is not applicable presently. Kita mana ada pergi bendang sekarang? Tak ada lah. Tak ada lah. Tak pergi bendang lah. Tak torei getar lah. Okay, so that's what happened. So because of that structure, that's why this is a misconception. It's really a misconception of what the Rig Veda or the equality in woman it was based. But you must understand why ultimately because of that protection. So they said, okay, woman shouldn't sit and a mother shouldn't sit. That was not true. If you ask me frankly, I ask you frankly, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, so for example, a person who be ikhlas, janda, title, apabila dia dapat title janda, how is the man's perception there? Oh, dia tu janda. Wow. Straight away the mind, how, as if like she's a free bird outside there. That is it. But I can say my time, this present time, but 50 years ago, 100 years ago, it's been applicable all the time. So that is a perception because of that the body biological system was indoctrinated. So that's the same thing. Just go to the next slide, please. okay, that's why I say, like for example, in our marriage, with God as a guide, let us take the first step to nourish ourselves. This is what in the okay. The second step to grow together in strength. The third step to preserve our wealth. Fourth step to share our joys and sorrows. The fifth step to care for our children. The sixth step to togetherness together, and seventh step to remain lifelong friends. So this is something that was in the religion. But when Brother Fidaus said this, I do not know where this quote came from. So it was never there. It was never there. So I will totally, ignore. So because that was not the proper conception. Because like for example, even if you heard, okay, never mind, the next question, okay? In the final word of Hinduism, the relationship between the husband and wife or the wife, the Hinduism provides same religious right, privilege to woman, and it does to man. Neither woman is superior, no man is superior to man. Both have the perfect half, like the coin, equally half. So they have never had these views of, especially mother, for as far as even if you take Mahabharata or any epics, mother is actually second to God. The way Hinduism preaches. That means mother. So what was mentioned that is totally untrue. It is a misconception of, it's actually one point of time, maybe the Westerners when came to India, they actually, as I say, Mr. Google, they have always, diverted the entire concept, what was exactly the religious basis. Religious basis. So, next.
Okay, because it's going to be a very interactive dialogue. So maybe hold on to the mic is that, because we need some clarification further as well from Dr. Subra. Because Dr. Subra mentioned this, as we know, from the Vedas and so on, the women are equal and etc. And over here, that it was mentioned in Manusmriti, which is in Shruti, okay, that women, there's no liberty for women. And maybe, because this is from the quotations from the book itself, so as I say that maybe how should someone really react when they come to these verses rather than we inform them that, it's just like when we are young, when we ask too much question to our parents, what will happen? Our parents will ask us, don't ask. You don't understand it yet. Okay? But the society have evolved in such a way that if we just say, this is a misconception and we don't have to bother about this, but the things will keep on bothering them. I mean, so maybe can share with the audience, Dr. Subra, that how should they react when they next time, after this interfaith dialogue, that how should they react when they come across such verses? Okay. Yeah, how should they react in a sense?
No, because I think you have to ask an appropriate person to explain, that's all. An appropriate person, rather than, because our quotation in everywhere is equal right, equal in every faith. So what was, I said, is some interpretation. For example, just to illustrate, I use my personal experience. When I was traveling in Australia in a tube, traveling in a train, so in front of me there was a couple hugging and kissing. So if we are an Asian culture, what we see, don't see that. It is negative, it is not positive. But right in front of me there was a child and a father was sitting together. So the daughter asked the father, 3 years old daughter, why Papa is there kissing, hugging so much? Kalau kita apa? Jangan tengok tu, tak elok tu. So father said, no, they love each other very much. Like daddy loves you. He just give a hug and kiss her. So they are just loving each other. So what will have the perception of the girl? Diminish. Just a love. That it diminished instantly. That means it was explained. So does this. So it has to be explained.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Subra. Now, so if you were to look at Dr. Subra's explanation, is that whenever anybody, being you are Muslim, you are Christians, you are Hindu or any other religion, when you come across such verses from other religious scriptures, it's not to make your own conclusion. Am I right, Dr. Subra? Is that should approach somebody like Dr. Subra, like Dr. Living Lee, Brother Shah, the Ustad and the priest and the monk, and ask them to explain rather than to make your own conclusion. You see? Now, thank you so much, Dr. Subra. And now, for the second speaker, we're going to Brother Shah. It's not going to be easy. You know, people would tend to think that, you know, Brother Fidaus is a Muslim and this guy is a Muslim, so easy way for him. No. So sorry. Because in Islam, in Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse 135, Allah have already told us that as a Muslim, you should be just even against yourself. And this is not myself. So I should be just. Now, just now Brother Shah in the first round, he did mention that women are equal in Islam. That, you know, they have been given this certain right, that certain right, and etc. etc. But the problem is those accusations that people throw to any religions here, right in front here, it is not something that they pick from the air and then they just throw it to you. No, they come along with the scripture reference, and that make things difficult. Brother Shah mentioned that women's right, being given right, equality whatsoever, and etc. But in the same time, Brother Shah, Islam was accused and still being accused as being discriminating towards the women. And one such example is the issues of inheritance. Right? You heard it before? Yes. Is the issue of inheritance, in which the women receive lesser than men, just like as stated in Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse number 11. Brother Shah, if you were to say just now in the beginning that women are equal, why in such cases, for one example, in the terms of inheritance, that women receive lesser than men? Where is the equality?
Thank you very much for your hot and spicy question. Alright. Okay, first of all, in Islam, men and women do not have identical, equal rights. Is that clear? They're equitable, but not identical, equal rights. In some areas, men get a little more than women, and some other areas, women get a little more than men for them to perform their responsibility. Clear? But overall, it is equal. That's point number one. Point number two, when you speak about inheritance, let me tell you that Quran is the only scripture where it guarantees women 100% to receive inheritance. In any condition, whatever condition, there is no way a woman will not receive inheritance. This guarantee is given in the Quran in so many places. For example, in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 180, verse number 240, Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 7 to 9, 11, 12, 19, 33, 176, Surah Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse number 105 to 108, guarantees women inheritance. Now, who gets more, who gets less, depends on certain criteria. The first criteria, okay, is the blood relationship. Those who has got the blood relationship with the deceased will get more compared to those who do not have blood relationship. That is the reason children will get more inheritance compared to the husband or the wife of the deceased, because children are blood relationship. So that condition is condition one. Condition number two is the generation. The younger generation will get more inheritance compared to the older generation. For example, the one who is deceased, who died, the children will get more compared to their parents, the parent of the deceased. Clear? That means the grandfather of the children. Both also have blood tie, agree? So children will get more compared to the grandparents, because children, their lifespan is longer. So the need is there compared to the grandparent. Clear? The third condition is responsibility. Those who have got more responsibility will get more compared to those who have lesser or no responsibility. That is why, as we mentioned in the Quran, Surah Nisa chapter number 4, verse number 11, that for the daughters, they will get half of what the son receives. Okay? Because in Islam, it is the financial responsibility of the male in the family to look after the family, not the female. Now the son will get double compared to the daughter. But How many times buts? 3 times. Okay. What the son received, even though it is double, it is gross. What the daughter received, even though it is half, it is actually net. Let me give you an example. Let's say I die today, and I got 2 children, 1 boy, 1 girl, and the inheritance that is supposed to be divided among my children total to 15,000 ringgit. Can you imagine that? Me dying. Okay, never mind. Okay, how much will my son get now? 10,000 ringgit gross. How much will my daughter get? 5,000 ringgit net. My daughter get 5,000 ringgit. One bundle 5,000 ringgit belongs to her and only her. And she can keep the 5,000 ringgit in the bank. She don't have to spend anything. It's hers. But my son get 10,000 ringgit is gross because he have to still maintain the family, including the sister. The basic needs. Remember, you have to pay the telephone bill, the electricity bill, the utilities, the house rental, car installment, groceries, clothing, whatever. Now from 10,000 ringgit, let's say he spent about 3,000 ringgit in a month. What is the balance now? 7,000. Following month, spend some more. The following month, spend some more. Is that clear? Yeah. Now I only want to ask for the sisters only. Over here, can you answer? Yes, if you think you're a sister. Okay, only for the sisters. Would you want to receive 10,000 ringgit gross or 5,000 ringgit net? You got it. You got it. Now, why do I say no, in Islam, inheritance is no way men get double compared to women? No, this is not true. You look into the same words. For example, Surah Nisa chapter 4, verse number 11. If the person who died, this is, okay, and leaving other heirs as well, both the parent will get 1/6. Mother get 1/6, father gets 1/6, meaning man and woman equal. But if there's nobody else to get any inheritance, then the mother will get 1/3. Now let's say the person who died is a woman. She dies, leaving behind only the husband and the parent. In that case, the mother will get 1/3 and the father will get 1/6. Meaning mother will get double compared to father. That means female can get double compared to male. You see the point? When you look into things, do not just look into the surface, but make cross references, in-depth study, and you will understand there's a lot of accusation against Islam today. But when you understand it in the proper context, these accusations do not carry weight. But again, I'm quite impressed with the example given by Brother Fidaus earlier. Usually when you ask questions, so many questions to your parent or other people, normally they will say what? Don't ask too many questions. You may deviate, nanti kamu sesat. Let's go to the masjid, say the shahada again. Sounds familiar. Why do they say that? I believe it's because they themselves do not know how to answer. I would rather prefer, if you do not know the answer, admit you do not know. Tell them your question is really good, but I really do not know how to answer your question. Let me find out, and once I get the answer, I will give it to you. And I believe if people are honest to us, we are okay with that. Agree with me? What we do not want is people going around and gorenging. Jangan terlalu banyak goreng, nanti hangus. True? Okay, I hope that answers the question. TQVM.
But Brother Shah is not safe yet. Okay, just like there is a subsequent questions to Dr. Subra. You know, this is not something. It's something that we want to know more. Even myself, I would like to know more. I mean, he just cannot think that he will just escape just like that. Just because he said TQVM. You know, the thing is, despite he said that, you know, sometimes women can get more, you know, 1/3 compared to sometimes the father will get 1/6. It seems that the woman will get more and more. But Brother Shah, the reality hurts. In which the reality is, despite you say yes, the boy have to take care of the woman, They get more because they have to take care. But in reality, day in, day out in the newspaper is reporting that, that the women has been discriminated, the guys get the money, he go and marry another one, blah, 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 a new car, right? Right? No. They're not going to, right? You see? Now, I mean, since we're dealing with reality, we should talk about reality. I mean, then why such things happen, Brother Shah?
Thank you very much for the question. And I agree, this is the reality that actually happened. It is quite sad, but it happens. And I do not deny that. It happens. But what we got to do is to differentiate between the religion Islam and the adherents, the people, the Muslim. Islam and the Muslims are not the same. What is the difference? The first difference is the spelling. Okay, this is a joke. Don't take note. Okay, see. I'm here to represent Islam, to defend Islam, but not to defend so-called Muslims when they themselves do not practice what Islam teaches. According to Islam, the men are supposed to be responsible, but the reality today, some men, not all, some men are irresponsible. Agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, but now, if you go by Islam, the women in the family has the right to actually complain to the qadi, to the judge, okay, and action would be taken. But if there is any shortcoming, the problem is not with the teachings of the religion, but rather the problem is the abuse of religion. Sometimes men, or in some cases even women also, to be fair, right? They may claim the religion teach this, the religion teach that, and they use religion as an excuse, but they themselves do not perform their responsibility as ordained by the religion. You agree with me?
Yes.
Fair? Do I escape now? Okay, thank you.
He might escape from me now, okay, but he might not escape from all of you later. Okay, now we're going to pass to, of course, Dr. Lee Wing Lee. And the thing which is interesting is that, just to share a light moment with all of you, inshallah. Because although, as we say, that, this is a very serious discussion, a very sensitive topic. But what happened just now when we came into this room before you guys came in, okay, is that we are going around. And then we say, okay, no problem. I think the cushion we can just put closer to one another because all men, all men. I'm not going to mention who is the one who mentioned this. Then we say it's all men, so we can get closer. We can sit very close to one another. Then one of the organizing committee's members, he said, "No, brother, there is one woman." I said, "How come I don't know? I'm the moderator." He said, "No, the one. Which one? This one, Lee Chai Ping." I said, "No, that is a man." And then, you know what happened? Miracle do happen. And Dr. Living come in. And the man himself came in and they thought Dr. Living is a girl. Can you imagine that? Just because by name. This is what we say as, you judge a book by the cover, you judge somebody gender by the name. Now, just now Dr. Living in the first session, he did quote Genesis chapter number 2 verse number 18 when he said that in the Bible say, man should not be alone. When God created Adam, he said, Adam should not be alone. So let's make a woman as helper. And this is where there are some people out there, inshallah, not here, which misquote, not only take this quote and then they make it as a reference, and to back up with, they come with reference, which is dimensions in, they say that Christianity doesn't really treat women equally. Why? I will read out to you, and then Dr. Living, inshallah, he will elaborate further because he will represent Christianity. Now they quote, Dr. Living, they quote 1 Timothy chapter number 2 verse number 11 to 15, in which it says, a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She must be silent. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women will be saved through childbearing if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety. And then they also quote Genesis chapter number 3 verse number 16. To the woman God said, I will make your pain in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. So, this is a lot of misconception. In fact, there are some Muslims who ask me, Brother Fidaus, how to explain about this? I say, why not? We ask somebody who know. Right? And just like what Dr. Subra said, when we read such verses, rather than we make our own conclusion, we ask people who know. The Quran says, in Surah Al-Anbiya chapter 21, verse number 7, Fas'alu ala zikri, in kuntum la ta'lamun. If you do not know, ask people who know. So, Dr. Living, I mean, what is actually the actual explanation from the Bible itself on such accusation? So, the mic is yours.
Okay, before I actually go into the two passages, let me go back to what Dr. Subra and Shah has said just now. What do you notice from the two explanations of difficult passages? You find that when people want to say bad things about your religion and your scriptures and all that, they will quote a certain scriptures, and if you look at the Christian scriptures, some of it will shock you, no? If Jesus said, if you want to follow me, you must hate your mother and father and all that. And then, so if you just take that and then say, what kind of nonsense is this? Is it your scripture teach you to hate your father and mother? But why did Jesus say that? You know, and why was it recorded that he says that? The first thing you learn is to read the passage or that sentence in context. You know, if you take it out of context, then you will get a wrong interpretation. So when you look at the context, it will explain to you that in contrast to the, you know, if you have to choose between loving God and loving your parents, which is more important? You know, your love for God is supreme above everything else, and you know, and then you look at that particular phrase in comparison to the rest of what the scripture teaches, because you know, God cannot be teaching you one thing here and then say a different thing in another place. And when you look at both the context and the other teachings, for example, you know, the Ten Commandments say honor your father and mother. You cannot be saying here is honor your father and mother, and the other one say you must hate your father and mother. When there's a contradiction, look at what is the scriptural teaching in the relationship, and then what is the context of the one. And you will find that in many cases, what is so-called, you know, wrong teaching, that just by taking the sentence, is because it's taken out of context. So you read the passages. Usually the context can be got by reading, you know, 10 verses up and 10 verses after that. That's what. So for example, what Firdaus just read to you was start with verse 11. But if I start with verse 8, it says, I desire then in every place that men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger or quarreling. Likewise also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel, with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold or pearls or costly attire, but with what is proper for women who profess godliness, with good works. Then you come to verse 11. Let a woman learn quietly with submissiveness. I do not permit a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet, and so on and so forth. That Firdaus has read just now. Now, if you look at the context of that, what was the earlier passages telling us? What is the whole aim of it? It's about how women should conduct themselves. And in those days, what was their problem? You know, they were overstepping the boundaries and you know, showing off. And some people say, what, all these people who go to church, a lot of these people are going like fashion parade only, you know, dressed in fine and all that. So that I got, wow, my diamond ring, $23 million. Oh, you know, you don't go to church to show off your diamond ring or what. You go there to worship God, and you don't dress in a way that will distract people from worshiping God. You have to dress modestly and so on and all that. So if you look in that context, what it learns is that if you look at the context of the women at that time, and that's where I said earlier, I will come to it. During the Jewish time, women they were treated as equal as men. They were leading people into battle. They were prophetess who prophesied and so on and all that. But during the time when the New Testament was written, Palestine was under subjugation to the Romans. The Greeks and the Romans, as Brother Shah Kirit have told you in his broad view of history, were treating women like pieces of property. Were still like slaves, and children and all, and women could be killed, and you don't have to justify, you can dispose them off just like that. And in such a context, do you expect that a lot of the women will be well versed and educated? They were not even given education. And so, what do they do? When you go to church at that time, you show off what women are good at, your diamond ring, or whatever it is, and so on and all that, which is the wrong thing, you see. So they have to be taught what is the proper way to behave. Don't just simply talk loudly when other people are, I don't know whether when you were in school you get scolded or not. Teacher is talking and then the bunch of you are talking at the back of the women were doing things like that. And so they had to be taught the proper way to behave in the new context of, this group of people who were just starting, under this, they call it the way, the new religion which Jesus brought about. You see. So context is very important when you interpret. And I agree the second thing that Shah said. Some of the things are difficult to explain because we don't live in that period during that time, So we look at it with our modern eyes. What we judge as, this is ridiculous, asking people, women to not be able to speak up and all that. But was Paul who wrote this asking all the people not to speak up? And I think that question and all that will come up in question 3. So let's leave that for question 3.
Okay. Now, as again, there will be always a follow-up questions on that. That just now Dr. Living mentions that in those days, this is what happened. Now, if a question would be brought to us that okay, Dr. Living, you are mentioned in those days. So are those verses still relevant today? If it's not relevant, then how should interact with such verses? If it's still relevant, then if somebody were to commit such an act, which means they chase people out, they ask women, you must be in submission and so on, then how should they interact again?
Okay, so the best way to actually answer that you talk about reality and today's practice is that now, do you know that now I don't know whether in UTP or not, but in most universities the women outnumber the men? Yeah? So are they still, like last time, the women, no education, no way to learn about, deeper about religion and all that, and so on and all that? No. It's totally changed now. So they are qualified, they have the same opportunities. And this is in no small measure because of the emancipation of women. And just as society has changed from in the past during the Roman times and all that, slavery was just a fact of life. Just accept it, that they are slaves and they are masters. But does that mean that slavery is an acceptable thing? And it was there, you can find scriptures that say, slave, submit to your masters as if you are serving them, as if you are serving God and all that. Means today we have to do the same? No, you change and apply the principles which don't change. So today we don't have slaves and masters anymore. But what do we have? Employers and employees. And then so when it says slaves, do not serve your master like just for man pleaser, because your real master is the Lord. What it's saying is that, don't just, if you're an employee, when the boss is around, then you pretend to work very hard. And then when boss not around, because it says God is your real boss. He sees you all the time. So can you see? We don't have the slavery anymore, but the principle behind it applies. So likewise, what is behind it about equality, about who are the ones who have the right to speak up, to share, religious knowledge and all that. If the situation has changed, then the person who can contributes. So in real practice now, we have women who are preaching, and even during the New Testament time and the Old Testament time, you already have prophetess, not just prophets, prophetess who were speaking in public and giving revelation and words from God and instructions to people. Paul, you would think that he wrote half the New Testament, was instructed actually by this husband and wife couple, and they are mentioned, Priscilla and Aquila. So it's not that women just sit at home and do the gifted ones were given the opportunity to speak. So in this case, I think it was a special case where a bunch of them was disrupting what was going on by their chatter and they're saying, hey, your diamond ring bigger than mine or not? And say, no, this shouldn't be done in church.
Okay. Now, just now when Dr. Livingly is talking about, the fact that the women are more than the men in public university, and the men disagree. I disagree with the men who disagree. Look at the crowd today. Just look around you. Where are all the men? Extinction. No, but the topic today is not men in religion. We're talking about women. Okay, let's go back to the topic. Okay, now just now, Dr. Living is mentioning, because we're going to Dr. Living, and this third round of questions will be 15 minutes each. 15 minutes each. Because if I were to give more time, what does that mean? It's a difficult question. It's a difficult, because like Dr. Living mentioned in the second round as well, that when there is a contradiction, look at the context. Okay? And just now Dr. Living mentions that that those time, and this might be a special cases, in which now you can see that there is a woman who come out and speak, in which when the Bible says you should in submitters, you should be in quietness. And in one such context, they say that that because the third round will be focusing on oppressions or freedom for women in religion. Oppressions or freedom for women in religion. So I will focus on these two. And let's see that they quote 1 Corinthians chapter number 14, verse number 34 to 35, in which, like he mentioned, Paul wrote this. He says, because just now Dr. Living mentioned that now the women preach. But Paul here, they came, that they say this is a mockery to the woman, this is an oppression, in which Paul said, as in all the congregations of the saints, women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission. As the law says, if they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husband at home, for it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in a church. And just now, Dr. Living mentioned about now there is a woman who speaks in church. So, again, for people who are non-believer, or maybe because you handle a lot of youth nowadays, maybe there are some youth who have some problem with the faith, in which they question, they might question you, Dr. Living, the Bible says this, and we're supposed to follow the Bible, but now it seems like, why we allow the woman to speak? And maybe the woman will say, Doctor, how can this such verse happen in the Bible? So, how normally would you react to those youth who have problem, or maybe those who are non-Christian, who come encounter this kind of verses, and they want clarification from you, Doctor? 15 minutes from now.
I may not even need 15 minutes, because I've already covered actually a lot of the answer in just now, the things, the answer to the second question. Now, take notes that what was read was from 1 Corinthians chapter 14. What is 1 Corinthians chapter 14? The Christian scriptures, the New Testament part at least, you have the Gospels, and then the rest of it were letters written by Paul to the different churches. So when you see 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, it was the two letters that Paul wrote to the church in Corinth. And I'll let you know something very interesting about the Corinthian church. It was a very well gifted church, you know. They were brilliant speakers, they were brilliant fellows who were receiving the gifts of the Holy Spirit, who could heal people, who could, you know, cast out demons, who could do a lot of miracles and speak in tongues and all these sort of things, you know. But one of the things that you find that when in the New Testament, when you read that, the church was progressing well in all these things that they can doing a lot of miracles and so on and all that. Satan sows discord and disunity in the church. And how does he do it? He makes people become proud of the gift that you have received and misuse it. Oh, I'm better than you. You know, I've healed 10 people, you only healed 5 people. That kind of thing, you know. The wrong, you can be a miracle worker, the Bible says, but if your attitude is not right and all that, and you turn to pride and all that, you're actually condemned, you know. You know, the people who say to Jesus on the day when he comes, Lord, Lord, did we not do these miracles in your name? All that, he said, I don't know you. See, is because of this danger. And Corinthians church was a very divided church, a very gifted church, but the people were fighting against each other and all that. So it's like some of the congregations today, where people think more about themselves and who they are and look down on others and all that and fight with each other, rather than say united to do the work of God and serve God together. And so that was the context of the Corinthian church. So this was specifically addressed to women in the Corinthian church. The Corinthian church was having more than enough problem even without this already. And this is just one of the additional problems that they were facing. And so it was, addressed to that. Now, you cannot say that this is a blanket ban on all women from speaking up in churches, and that the only place they can go home and ask their husbands. Because we read in for example, 1 Corinthians chapter, let me just look at the reference for you. Okay, in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, 3 to 10, just slightly earlier, chapter 11, verse 3 to 10. He says, but I want you to understand that in the head of every man is Christ, the head of the wife is her husband, and the head of Christ is God. Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered is on his head and all that. But every wife who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered, and so on. Which means they were wives, and wives are what? Women or men? And they were praying and prophesying in the church. Okay? Then they have this practice of covering the head when they do so and all that, which might be what was the tradition at the time that they practiced. So it's context again. You know, we do not understand fully what was the practice in the early church with regards to some of these things like head covering and so on. But we know, at least from this verse, that women were allowed to pray and prophesy in church in certain situations with certain contexts. Some say that the covering of the head actually means you're doing it under the authority, you know, or the scrutiny of the husband. That means you're not just simply anything come to your head, you release, you discuss, you know, with your husband and all that. After that, under his authority, you release and say, this is what I heard from God. My husband has, you know, I've discussed with him and he's confirmed it that this is not going against scripture, and therefore now I'm sharing it with the church. That is allowed. Okay? So that is what is meant by, you know, under the covering of the husband. Thank you very much.
Okay. Again, he has still at least around 7 minutes to go. But, well, since he's... Sorry? You have something to say? Okay. Now, of course, I will try to ask for more clarifications because pertaining to what Dr. Levy mentions that, you know, because in the end he did mention about some head covering and so on, and maybe this is something pertaining to, you know, the tradition itself. But then maybe Dr. Levy would like to explain and share further with us is that, you know, maybe just now we mentioned about the First Corinthians and the people, the Church of Corinthians, they are gifted, but yet they are so divided. And then when you mentioned also about the head covering, something related to here as well, is that, you know, maybe that's referring to Corinthians. But then normally when what normal people will see in a church is that the image of Mary, which is covered, and today, as we know, those nuns in Catholic, they also cover. I mean, so what kind of traditions, and are they following just blindly, or is it something which is stated in the scriptures? Yeah.
So I've already just now read to you the earlier part in 1 Timothy 8 onwards. What is the biblical guideline for women? You must dress modestly. You must not dress to show off and all that. You must cultivate inner beauty instead of focusing on external, beauty alone, you see. And I think those principles, if you look at it, is timeless. How many of you likes to be around people who are always, showing you and belaga, see, I got this diamond ring, I got this what and all this. Rather than you see some people, you're just naturally attracted to them, These women with the quiet spirit, dress modestly. Don't ask you to dress in sackcloth or what, but modestly, and so she's not focusing on being attractive just on the outside. Her inner spirit, she cultivated the things which are really worth cultivating. The good heart, the kind heart, the smile that encourages people. And so those things are more important than what is external. And one thing you notice is that, in the time when Jesus walked the earth, the people he had the biggest quarrel with are not the sinners, the tax collectors who cheated people or prostitutes and all that kind of thing. But it's the one who condemned him for mixing and being friendly to these people, who are the ones? The religious leaders of his day. It's called the Pharisees. Okay? They'll say, what kind of prophet is he? If he is prophet, how can he don't know that this lady will come, with the ointment to anoint his hair, his feet is formerly a prostitute, or even now at the time the prostitute and all that. And what did Jesus say? He says, who are the people who needs a doctor? Is it the sick people or the well people? You answer me. The sick people, isn't it? So he said, I came to seek and save the lost. That is the whole reason why I came, to save the sinners. Is it? They need me. Why should I therefore, be so holy and set apart and all that? And one of the things you notice about the Pharisees is this. They emphasize on the external and internal. What do you think? External. How do I prove? They want to show that I love God more than any of you ordinary people. So if the 10 commandments that God gave, I add on 633 more detail about how to keep each of those commandments. And then they will compare and then say, I'm holier than you because I pakai my jubah longer than yours. Or cover what. But what is the easier thing to do? The external or the internal? And Jesus was very good at pointing out the hypocrisy. People who outside looks nice, but inside he says it's whitewashed tomb. And that's what we call a hypocrite. Orang yang luar tak sama dengan yang dalam. And those were the Pharisees, the religious leaders of his days. So when you begin, if you need to focus, take this advice, focus on the inner man, not the external. But of course, the external will reflect you dress modestly and all that You don't go and dress bikini and go to church or something like that. That's not right.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you. Now, of course, interesting part to Dr. Subra. Are you guys still awake?
Yes.
Why no big round of applause for Dr. Lee? You guys are awake, but you are sleeping still. Yeah? Okay. Now, of course, we are going to ask about Hinduism. And again, as we mentioned, it's going to be hot and spicy. Okay, and get even spicier now. what is the issues that we're going to discuss with Dr. Subra is that it is related to a certain ritual called as sati. Any one of you heard before about sati? Never. Now I will give you a bit of background, just a bit of background. Maybe later Dr. Subra can elaborate further on that to make them understand. Sati is where was being practiced. I will explain to you later. In which sati is when a man died, the wife has to kill herself to die along with the husband. So my question, because this is very sensitive. This is very, very sensitive. Okay, that's why we have lengthy discussions, all to bring this topic. Because if it's not being handled with care, all of you will misunderstood. But of course, there will be explanation from Dr. Subra. Now, Dr. Subra, it was mentioned in Mahabharata. Just now, Dr. Subra also mentioned Mahabharata. Mahabharata, it was mentioned that Madri, the second wife of Pandu, burned herself, and as news of Krishna's death reaches Hastinapur, 5 of his wives choose to burn themselves. Such verses in Mahabharata has been made as one of the reference for sati or widow burning, in which upon the death of their husband, the wife will be burnt and die together. It was practiced for thousands and thousands of years, and thousands of women have been burnt alive until British banned this during the 18th century, 19th century, when they ruled India. But still, there is some isolated cases until today. How would you explain to Hindu and non-Hindus alike that act like sati, which is based on the religious scriptures referenced just now, are not oppression to women, but it is justified? Maybe you would like to elaborate on that.
Okay, thank you, Joseph, for asking this question. Because this is an ancient practice, but nonetheless, it's my obligation to clarify this. Okay, just to illustrate, okay, sati, what he was mentioning, yes, it's true. It was, as I told you, it's actually a misinterpretation. It is let me quote one example. There is if you have heard the story, there's a scientist who made a research on 5 monkeys. 5 monkeys, where he placed a ladder and a bunch of bananas on the top of this one. And every time, because it's a tempting, bananas being tempting for the monkeys. So when the monkey goes up to the ladder, the other 4 will be showered with cold water. Showered with cold water. So, and then goes to the second monkey who is free. When it goes up, again showered, the other 4 will be showered with it. Goes to the third. And eventually the monkeys found out that anybody who climbs up, that means they will be punished by this cold water. So what they did was, anybody who goes up, any monkeys, the rest 4, in order not to get the punishment, they will beat up the first monkey. Then they will beat up the monkeys, and then so another monkey goes up, then they all beat up, so that they won't get the cold shower. So after some times, it was a norm practice. So what happened is, one monkey is replaced by a new monkey from outside. So as a new monkey comes into their place, so this new monkey, of course, the first attempt to take the banana from the ladders there. So what happened is, the other 4 monkeys which are already been used to that, they already beat up this first new monkey. So the new monkey doesn't know why they're beating up. And they say fresh fruit is there. Then they replace the second monkey. So now the 3 old monkeys and the new monkey just joined the first one. They all beat up the second monkey. But the first monkey doesn't know why he's beating the second monkey. Okay? So until all 5 was replaced, and nobody dare to go and take the banana, because anybody goes up, they'll just beat up. So what happened is, and the new monkeys, the old monkeys know they were showered with cold water, but the new monkeys doesn't know that they were showered with cold water. So all the 5 monkeys were. So if I ask the new monkey, if you are an intellect people, ask the new monkey, why you all don't take the banana, but all beating up. They doesn't know. They're just following what was a practice. Okay, so let me just to tell you, this is very sati. Yeah? Okay, it was a concept. Actually, there was actually a simple word. Actually, in this Rig Veda, it is in 18. Let me quote the 10 Rig Veda 10.18.7, where it exposed that the word was agri, A-G-R-E, is in Hindi pronunciation, but it was pronounced as Agni, A-G-N-E. Just one word, one little word was just misinterpreted. Actually, agri means it means that you go ahead after your husband. Go ahead after your husband. It means. Let me see what is. Let me say her life word. She said, it is advised that she go ahead with the husband. Let me say her life must continue. But they interpreted it, go ahead with the husband means, that means you go in the Agni. The Agri is become Agni. That one little word was misinterpreted. And as I said, like the monkeys, they've been following this ritual a long time. Okay? But then I ask again, when I do my research again, what it was actually, you see, India was ruled by the foreigners like Moguls and the other invaders. See, whenever they come and invade, what is the first thing they will do? Rape women and children, they will kill them, and they take the men away from the society to their own jobs and everything. So what happened here is, actually, rather than, so they were thinking this actually the concept of explanation. They, rather than a widow, when she become a widow, rather than she suffering the title gender and or been exposed to the other man, she rather go and sacrifice herself with the husband. So his question was, in that Pandu's wife, Mantri, burn herself to death, is not due to the custom, but due to her regret that she is responsible for the death of the husband. She regretted for that. So she punished herself. Okay, there's and then no evidence in Mahabharata after that. They went on this Mahabharata. And to classic example, they say when Krishna, died and his 5 wives and all died. That is actually, it's like this. Have you heard this? One of the ruler in Tamil Nadu called MGR. Have you heard? Or never? Okay. He is actually one of the chief minister then. Of course, he's a popular actor. You see, that was in modern days. This is the present days I'm talking about. When he died, there are hundreds and hundreds of people kill themselves. Why? It's because of that. They cannot take the emotion of the love that they eat. I'm talking of this is in the 70s, in the early 80s. Somewhere in 85 or 86. Hundreds and hundreds of people kill themselves because they couldn't take the emotion. Especially even if you see in the Indian culture, especially when there are men and women who love each other, it's a boyfriend and girlfriend. Once the boyfriend departed or the girlfriend departed, what they does is, one will commit suicide, they will cut themselves, wound, hurt themselves and everything. But not if there's something happens to their parents, die or anything, they don't even bother. You saw that contradiction of the love there. So this is how it was interpreted. It was very, but way back in 18, especially British, it's not the British actually. They override that in 1829. It's actually by Raja Ram Mohan. He interpreted that the word ugly and agni, and he proposed that the whole context. But the ruler of the day was British then, so he has to propose and make it a law that this practice is stopped. So as I told you, like the monkey story, they've been following blindly. One, because of just it was followed by his forefather without knowing the reason. Second, and they avoid the foreigner invaders to rape and destroy this woman. So in order to avoid that, that practice was, yes, I agree, that was practice. But it was a total encompassing of this one little word, ugly and ugly. Alright. Thank you.
Okay. Why you guys are so tired? Now, of course, I will have subsequent questions for, Dr. Subra related to this sati as well, because Dr. Subra mentioned that that it's a misinterpretations, and they have been doing a blind following all this while for thousands of years. So there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from the explanation from Dr. Subra, which is in any religion there's not supposed to be any blind following. Just because what other people do, so you just follow, and it is. No, it is not like that. But there is some issues that people bring out of this, in which they say yes, it's a misinterpretation. It is not ugly. It is ugly, but it's not agony. Okay, agony can mean agony as well.
No, agony means fire.
Yes.
The other one is agony. Go forward.
Ahead. Yes, go forward. But there are some maybe this Dr. Subra can explain further, because it gets interesting and hotter and spicier. You guys feel so?
Yes.
You feel the tense, huh? No, we are not tense here, We are fine, okay? But they did quote some Brahmins, the theologians of Hinduism, which they say that no, this sati should proceed. We should go. And there are some Brahmin who fight against that ruling to ban this practice, to ban the practice of sati. They say, no, sati is the religion teaching, and we should go. We should not allow the law to overrule this sati. Just now you mentioned that it's a misinterpretation, but there are a group of Brahmin who keep on insisting that this is the teaching and we should follow, because they say this is an honor for the woman to die because of their husband. How can we solve this problem in terms of what you mentioned just now? It's a misinterpretation, but yet the Brahmin is explaining that they should follow.
As I told you, you see, the Indian culture, they have this so-called caste system. Caste system. And some are, they call date right. They may say nobody can, say anything. This is it. No question asked. So these people are come from this group, this class of people. Date right. They will say, there's one word in Indian they call rabbit has three legs. See, that's one word. They say the rabbit I catch always have 3 legs. Like it's been that's. A rabbit has 4 legs, but they will say, my rabbit has 3 legs. It's like this, especially the Brahmins, they're like orthodox. You see, a Brahmin, actually there are 4 caste system. One is, they call the Brahmin, and then the Vedas and Sutras, and the various. Actually, it is actually based on occupation. But these Brahmins, they feel that they are the custodian of the religion. They just feel that they are the custodian of the religion, so they must uphold what has been practiced throughout their lifelong. And who is this British who come and override this ruling through the people who has came and proposed, like Mr. Ram Mohan and so on. So he said, who is this guy? So they want to go against that system. So that's why that issue was come up. That's why these Brahmins, a group of them came out.
Okay, thank you. And now to Brother Shah. But before I pass the mic to Brother Shah, okay, not I pass the mic, but Dr. Subra has to pass the mic. Okay, my mic is my mic. Okay. Now, get ready with your questions, because right after Brother Shah answer the 3rd round, his final question, we will open the floor to you, and it's your chance to get more clarification, and maybe there's something in your mind that you want to ask and get clarification from them. Who else to ask? Compared to this 3 person. The best thing is that you cannot ask any question to the moderator. Okay? Now, Brother Shah, this is one of the hottest issues. One of the hottest, not the hottest. Okay? Issues about women in Islam. Guess what it is? No. Let's ask the good sister first. Guess what is the issues? One of the hottest.
What do you do?
Louder, I cannot hear you. Polygamy, mashallah. What is the hottest issue? Nikah is a come on. This guy is unreal. Hijab? No. You are right. Polygamy. Guys agree? Girls agree? Yeah, Masya Allah. They agree. Good. So you know where you can find a right candidate for polygamy. Yeah? They agree. Okay, now, Brother Shah. Okay, one of the hottest issues about women in Islam is that men can marry up to 4. But women can marry up to how many? I'm asking the lady. Are you a woman? No, the women. Men can marry how many? One. Men can marry up to how many? Men. 4. Women? Is it fair? Now you see why it's hot, right? The woman will slowly leave the hall slowly. But the men will get more excited and get ready with the pen. All the question before, they never have the pen and paper. You know why? It's not important. But this one, I need to convince myself and convince my future spouse. The guys, stuff. Now, the men can marry up to 4, but women can only marry only 1. Okay? It seems like women has been made as a sexual object. They often quoted the Surah An-Nisa chapter number 4, verse number 3. Marry, how many? 2, 3, or 4. If you cannot be just, then marry only 1. Which means men are allowed to marry up to 4. And this has been made as a reference for Muslim men to marry so many wives and have so many children, but they can't afford to support all this financially. They use a religious justification. Suka hati abang lah. You see the man, you see? I told you. Okay? So it seems like this is an oppression and degrading the status of women. How would you like to convince others there, okay? The men don't need to convince, they are already convinced. Okay? That polygamy is fair and just, but not last alone. 15 minutes from now.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Really hot and spicy. No more hot and spicy. This is like sauna already. Okay, this is a very sensitive issue, polygamy. Not only from the non-Muslims, but sometimes also from among the Muslims. Agree with me? And if I do not answer properly, the sisters will not allow me to leave this hall one piece. Okay, first of all, when you speak about this polygamy issue, it's actually a misconception. Let me clarify. The Quran never introduced polygamy. There is not even a single verse in the Quran to introduce polygamy. The brothers are looking at me as if they want to swallow me alive. Sisters, of course, you are laughing. Okay, let me explain before you say I am deviant or whatever. Okay, let me explain. When was the Quran revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? About 1,400 years ago. Would you agree with me? Agree? Yes. Now, before the Quran was revealed, did men practice polygamy?
Yes.
Yes. You can look throughout the cultures around the world and also scriptures around the world. Polygamy was a norm. Agree?
Yes.
Agree with me? So now, the Quran did not introduce polygamy. It was already there. So why blame Islam for something that Islam did not do? Make sense?
Yes.
Point number 1. Okay, so what does the Quran introduce? Let us study the scripture. In Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse number 3. The Quran says, marry the woman of your choice. 2, 3, or 4. Maximum is 4. But if you're not able to do justice between your wives, then marry only 1. So what the Quran introduced is 2 things. Point number 1, before the Quran, men can marry any number of wives. Now Quran said maximum at one time 4. That is the first introduction. Limit up to 4 only. Condition number 2, you have to be just between your wives. If you are not able to be just between your wives, then marry only 1. It doesn't mean you just marry and make collection of wives, and then you make children, and then you are not responsible, and so it doesn't say that. You got to be just. Now to be just to one, to be just, it doesn't mean first wife you give 100 ringgit, second wife also you must give 100 ringgit. Doesn't mean only that. It also doesn't mean if you go to the market, for the first wife you buy chicken, so for the second wife you also must buy chicken, even she is allergic to chicken. It doesn't only mean that. Justice here is a overall justice. Can you understand? A wholesome justice. Now for a man who has got only one wife, to do justice to only one wife is not easy. What more to do justice to 2, 3 or 4? If you're not able to do justice, marry only one. Is that clear? Fair enough? Okay, point number 1. Now point number 2, when you speak about polygamy, it has been a practice for generation and generation for thousands of years. No issue. Only recently, compared to thousands and thousands of years, only recently we have the idea one man are supposed to marry only one wife. Clear? Now they say this verse in the Quran is actually a disadvantage to women. Now let me ask the sisters only. Over here, can you answer? Yes, if you are a sister. Because sometimes there are sisters among here. Okay, not only for the sisters, let me ask you, this particular verse in the Quran, is it a disadvantage for the women or actually advantage for the women? Okay, let's say it is a disadvantage. For purpose of discussion, let's throw away this particular ayat, verse from the Quran, throw it away. For purpose of discussion. Clear? Now, if this ayat is not in the Quran, then your husband can marry any number of wives. He can marry 4, can marry 10, can marry 100. Yes or no? Yes. Because there's no condition here. Now, just imagine if your husband marries 100 wives, when would be your next turn? You get it here? So now this verse of the Quran, is it advantageous or disadvantageous to the woman? It is advantageous. Now sometimes people will say, but why not only just marry one? Okay, in some practice of the society today, men only marry one official wife, legal wife, but they have mistresses. Agree with me? In some of the countries, like in the West, for example, okay, now West is also subjective. We are West to Japan. Okay, forget subjective. Okay, now see, in some countries, it is a felony for a man to marry more than one wife. Agree? In that particular country, can men have mistresses? It's not against the law. Agree? What is the limit of mistresses? No limit. The more the merrier. Lagi ramai, lagi macho. Agree? Now when you have one wife, you're responsible to the wife. But when you got mistresses, are you responsible for the mistresses? No. Okay? And they will use that law, okay, for not marrying or taking responsibilities to the mistress. They will say, I love you, but I cannot marry because my quota is finished. One wife already. I love you, you love me. Now when this mistress is pregnant, and the mistress asks the man to be responsible, this man, maybe he will say, I don't care. I do not know whose child is this. You can sleep with me. I do not know how many men you have slept with. Now let's say the child is delivered, the baby is delivered, DNA test confirm that man baby. Now by the law, is that man responsible for the child? Still not responsible. You see, now who loses here? When you only keep mistresses but you don't marry, who loses? The women loses. Agree? Who enjoys? No, both. Agree? Enjoy both. But then who loses? The woman. Now let's come back to Islam. In Islam, you got one wife. Does Islam allow you to sleep with another woman? Yes. But marry first. No, I'm going to be frank. Agree? But marry first. Now, if this man marries the second woman, for example, or the third or the fourth, maximum, now this will become wife. When it is wife, what does it mean? Responsibilities is there. Children born, automatic. That children belongs to this man. And he's responsible. Is that clear? Now also the question was, men can marry up to 4. Women cannot marry more than 1 at any one time. Is that fair? Okay. Now, when you say about fair in Islam, it doesn't mean you have to give the same thing. It means putting something in its perspective. Letak sesuatu pada tempatnya. Clear? Now, let me give you an example. Nauzubillah, God forbids. If a robber comes to my house tonight, I fight with the robber and chase him away. Next week, nauzubillah, another robber comes to the house, I tell my wife, last week I already fought with the robber, this week is your turn to fight. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. And my wife will reply back, husband, I already delivered our baby last year. This year is your turn to deliver. It of course does not make sense. Agree with me? Fair means putting something in its perspective. Now, one man having discussion, one man having 4 wives, for example. When the baby is born, we know exactly who is the father and who is the mother. But if there is one woman with 4 husbands, when baby is born, we know who is the mother, yes, but we do not know who is the father. So the name will be A, bin, B, alias C, alias D, alias E. You get what I mean? But people say, Brother Shah, don't you watch CSI? You can do DNA test. Okay, there's a recent development, which is not easy anyway. Okay, now let us see other, what do you call this, wisdom. Men can marry up to 4, but women only 1 at a time. Okay, let's say one man, 4 wives. Each wife wants 5 children. Everyone is healthy. Inshallah, God willing, no problem. Agree with me? Agree? Now, same condition. Turn the other way around. One woman, 4 husbands. Each husband wants 5 children. Zoom. Not together, according to their turn. Now the wife is pregnant, so they wait for 9 months. Deliver the baby. DNA test. Husband number 2's baby. They wait for 40 days, confinement. After that, Zoom again. Okay? Wife is pregnant. 9 months. Deliver the baby. DNA test. Husband number 4, baby. After 40 days, confinement. Zoom again. Wife is pregnant. Deliver baby. DNA test. Husband number 4 again. Husband number 1 and 3, bite finger. Now what will happen to this woman? Hancur. You agree? One man having 4 wives, can he take the responsibility being a father and the husband for 4 different families? Can he do that? Yes, it happens. Now let's say one woman, 4 husbands. Can this one woman take responsibility for 4 different families? You see the point? You see the idea? Now let's say if man can marry 4 wives, woman can also marry 4 husbands. Let's discuss. What will happen? One man would have 4 wives. Each wife will have another 3 husbands. Each husband will have 4 wives. Each wife will have 4 husbands. Each husband will have 4 wives. Each wife will have 4 husbands. What will happen? After some time, we all in Malaysia will be relatives. This is literally satu Malaysia. If one person gets it, Malaysia will be in history, dalam kenangan. You get what I mean? And then to say that polygamous is something bring disadvantage or whatever, it is not really true, because in Islam we have conditions when you practice polygamy. If everyone actually comply to practice polygamy as mentioned in Islam, the principles and so on, the polygamous marriage can be actually a good marriage. But the problem is, if any one of them does not comply to what Islam teaches, whether the husband or any of the wives. And sometimes when a man have 2 or 3, 4 wives, sometimes the husband and the co-wives are all okay, but it is the outsider, sometimes the family members or close friends who come and chocho. Agree with me? See, polygamy is a very sensitive issue. It is not just an intellectual discourse, but it is also a very emotional one. And I'll just finish by saying this. Sometimes men say, oh, this is the sunnah of the Prophet, we must marry many. So they say Islam, Islam, Islam. But once they marry polygamous marriage, They throw away the teachings of Islam and they don't practice what Islam teach. True? Am I promoting polygamy? No. Am I condemning polygamy? No. Clear? I hope that answers the question in the short given time. Can I go out later? One piece essay. Thank you.
Not yet. You know, it's never easy. Okay, Brother Shah did mention that, you know, in Surah An-Nisa chapter number 4 verse number 3, marry women of your choice, 2, 3 or 4. If you can't be just, then only marry one. But the problem is, Brother Shah, not me, people out there, I'm a believing of that. I believe in it. Do you believe in it? Do you believe in it? Of the verses of the Quran?
Yes.
You submit to it? You see? You believe it? Yes. Submit to it? Yes. Slower. Okay, fine, no problem. The problem is, people out there, when you say you have to be just, if you cannot be just, then only marry one. So they claim that there is a contradiction in the Quran. Why? Because in the same surah, in Surah An-Nisa chapter number 4 verse 129, Allah says that man will never be able to do justice. Man will never be able to do justice, which means, sorry, simpan saja hasratmu itu. Which means, Quran is yet saying you limit to 4. But you are, if you are afraid you cannot be just, then only marry one. So the Quran already say that you definitely man cannot be just. Then how can they involve in polygamy? How would you explain that, Brother Shah?
Okay, thank you very much for the question again. See, these are very, very hot questions. You agree with me?
Yes.
Are they easy to answer? No, poor me, right? But no. But these type of questions are important for us to address. Because if we do not address these type of questions, then many of the people will have doubt in themselves. Agree?
Yes.
So I'll do my best to answer these questions. Now, in the Quran, Surah An-Nisa chapter 4, verse number 3, the condition for you to practice polygamy is what? Be just. If you're not able to do justice between your wives, then marry only one. Then in the same surah, Surah An-Nisa chapter 4, verse number 129, Allah says in the Quran, meaning, even if it is your ardent desire, you still are not able to do justice between your wives. That means you can never do justice between your wives. Does that mean you cannot fulfill condition to be just, so you only marry one? Does that mean that? Let's discuss. Here, in these two different ayats of the surah, is referring to two different kind of justice. One is the outer justice, and the other one is inner justice. For an example, I think I can give you one example. It's a good example, I believe. Let's say you got 5 children. I know you're not married yet. Imagine, not the spouse, the children. Okay, you got 5 children. Now outwardly you got to do justice to your children. Can you understand? You take care of them accordingly and be just to all your children. So outwardly, but inside, can you do justice equally? Can you love all your children equally the same? No. Can you love your mother and your father equally the same? Can you love between your siblings, your brothers and sisters, exactly 100% the same? Inside will never be the same. You will love all your children, but you will love them differently. Agree with me?
Yes.
No matter how much is your ardent desire, you are never able to love all your children exactly the same way inside. But outwardly, still perform justice. Can you understand? So now this ayat here refers to outward justice. Inside, God knows. But even you have the kind of loving among your wife different, but do not do injustice to any of your wives. And this Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse number 129 does not mean men can never practice polygamy. Because at the time of Prophet Muhammad, when these ayat have been revealed, the companions still continue to practice polygamy. And the students of the companions and the students of the companion throughout the history until today, people practice polygamy. No one understood that particular ayat, meaning no man can practice polygamy. Does this answer the question? Is that clear? Okay, again, am I promoting polygamy? Am I discouraging polygamy? No. If the brothers ask me, Brother Shah, should I practice polygamy? I will answer them, tepuk dada tanya, bukan selera mesti on. Tepuk dada tanya iman. Betul? Because end of the day, wives are actually amanah, trust from Allah. How we treat our wives in the hereafter, we as the husband, as the man, we are answerable. Clear? Thank you very much.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So, brother and sister, we are going to the last round, which is the Q&A, the questions and answer. Are you guys ready with your question? Are you guys ready? Yes. Okay. Since you say yes, you ask first. Right? Oh, you? Sure? Who going to ask? Now, we're open to the Q&A, but remember, you are limited to 1 minute questions. So, please make it precise, concise, just pack it, summarize it. And then all the panelists are being given maximum 3 minutes. Okay? To answer the questions addressed. Okay? So now, anybody would like to ask the questions? I will be moderating. Okay. Thank you. Can we have the mic to the brothers there? Or can you just shout from there? Never mind. Just stand up, brother. Okay. Just talk loudly so the panelists will. And please share with us your name, which faculty you're coming from. Okay. And this question is addressed to who and your questions. Remember, right? 4 things, huh? Okay.
Yeah, Bismillah. Assalamualaikum and very good evening. First of all, I want to thank all the speakers for coming and give your best tonight for giving us the insight of this topic. So, introducing myself, my name is Ahmad Shauki bin Johara. You can call me Shauki. Coming from Faculty of Geoscience. I was a student and currently in third year first semester. Okay, my question would be as easy as the parental guidance, because we are talking about family, okay? And in terms of different perspective of religions. So, parental guidance should be the role of father or mother. I address these questions because of we see the reality today that our community having a lot of problems in terms of family institution. So this maybe you can share with us what is the perspective from the Christians or the Hinduism about this topic. Thank you.
Please name one person that you would like to address this question.
Among the
or you want to give to your lecturer, former lecturer.
Oh yeah, it's more like it.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay. Bringing up children is a joint effort. There's no such thing as leaving the father to do everything or the mother to do everything. But each of them will have, God made them differently, so they'll contribute differently. In most cases, the mother does the nurturing part, the father does the disciplining part. Worst case scenario is when both also don't care and then just let the kid do what he wants. Children, actually with boundaries, they find that they are more secure and grow up better than those which, totally no boundaries, you do what you like and so on. So both are needed. Yeah.
Okay.
Short and just nice. Okay, now another question. Those who want to ask questions, you are allowed to direct the questions to other than Dr. Living. We have to give equal chance to other speakers to answer certain questions. Now, anybody would like to ask the questions? Raise your hands, please. Okay, yes, sister. Okay, maybe we can pass the mic to the sister, inshallah. Okay. Why my staff is the one who volunteers? Where is the volunteers, brother? Okay, please introduce yourself, which faculty, and who you would like to address to, and your questions.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Umi Munirah binti Muhammad Shukri. You can call me Umi. From Faculty of Geoscience and Petroleum Engineering. Okay. I am also a third year student, third year second semester. My question is the first question. The first question is to Dr. Subra about the dowry system in you can see that how the Hinduism reacted with the dowry system, and then if it is adat, how can the Hinduism helps the women to face this situation. And I have second question. Can I?
One question at a time.
One question. Okay, thank you.
You have to be fair, inshallah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Equality. Good. Put the other slide. Slide. Roll again. Further. Okay. See, this is one of the questions. Thank you very much. Umi. Your name is what? Umi. All right. You asked for dowry system. What is the purpose of dowry system came to the, actually it's in Malay they call hantaran, simple as that, simple as that. Okay, so it will not fixed. Normally what happen is, see when a groom, marries a bridegroom, so the bridegroom goes to a new family, a new family, that means say she has to adopt a new environment there. See, for example, I give you an example. Say, for example, you go to your friend's house or some stranger's house. You have a limitation of your usage of their products, or you cannot simply go and make the coffee. You cannot simply go and make your whatever you like. You always have to. You like your fear, But you went hand over the marriage, but you are in fear. So what happened is, why the dowry system was introduced is, that means say, the girl will bring along whatever utensils, all the equipments along with the in-laws house, so that early morning when she wakes up, she feel free that these things are from my home. So like as if a part of her home is coming together with her to support her to certain time of their life, so that after that she becomes used to that family. Okay, you got what I'm saying? So that was introduced, but eventually, as I told you, people's practice was, it was always a bad practice. They start to demand, my son is, educated in this level of education. You girl, okay, you must pay me so much because, so as if like it become a business. But that was not the concept. But it was a system that, so that the girl will feel home, that she is using the own utensils and that we brought from her home. That was the original purpose. The second part you asked about what happened, she widowed. The second part, what you were asking, when you died or something like that.
How Hinduism helps women to face this dowry system?
Oh, Hinduism actually do not practice at all this dowry system. It's a cultural base. That's why that's the other part, the interpretation part. So they brought this one through a traditional, nothing to do with in the religion. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now next question is supposed to pose to Brother Shah. Any questions from the floor? Okay, we have two. Why don't both of you want to do so? Okay, no problem. Because alhamdulillah, we will end at 11 o'clock to be exact. You guys okay? Okay, we end now. No? You guys okay with it? Okay, good. Okay. Why? Because we're going to have another round after this. So these two persons going to ask to Brother Shah, right? So what I'm going to do, I give to the brother first, not because of not fair, yeah. Okay, because the brother is a bit faster just now. Okay, maybe we can pass. Okay, wait, brother, you just mention your name, faculty, pose to Brother Shah, of course, definitely, and then your questions.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Fikri Hafiz Fikri from Petroleum Engineering. So just want to ask for Brother Shah. As we know that actually it is about the inner beauty. Means that we know that actually internal beauty is very more important rather than the external beauty. So is it means that we just let go about the external beauty, because we know the real case out there, especially for women or girls, They claim that those who are not wearing hijab, their internal beauty is very good. So don't judge them by its cover like that. So how to solve this problem? Thank you.
Okay, Brother Shah. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. When you speak about hijab, yes, of course, the rule about hijab is to covering your aurat. It's actually mentioned in the Quran to the man first, only then to the woman. In Surah An-Nur, chapter 24, verse number 30 is to the man, and verse number 31 only then is to the woman. Clear? And also later in Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, verse number 59, it speaks about covering your aurat. Now the question is about inner beauty, outer beauty, etc. Okay, in Islam, inner beauty is important. Inner beauty is important. But Islam does not forbid you from also displaying outer beauty as long as it's within the limit. Is that clear? For both men and women. Now the question that our brother asked is a very specific question. He's saying that some women who does not cover themselves, but they say it is not the outer that matters. What is important is internal. Okay. Now first of all, when you speak about Islam, there's do's and don'ts. But there's also priorities. Agree with me? We go step by step. Sometimes men are very, what do you call this, sometimes very overzealous. Women should cover themselves, women should cover themselves. Sounds familiar? Sister at the back, one of your heads coming out, cover properly. Otherwise you go to hell. No, I cannot see one head from here. But does this kind of remark sounds familiar? Agree? But the Quran says for the men to cover themselves first. Now also in the Quran also mentioned, do not backbite. Agree? Jangan mengumpat, betul? Surah Al-Hujurat chapter 49 verse number 12. Or you who believe, avoid suspicion. Some of the suspicion may lead you to sins. Do not find the faults of others and do not backbite. Do you want to eat the flesh of your relative's dead body? Betul? Janganlah kamu mengumpat. Adakah kamu mahu makan daging mayat saudara kamu sendiri? Now there's a punishment mentioned in the Quran if you backbite. Now how many of us never backbite? Siapa tak pernah mengumpat sepanjang tahun ini? Okay, bulan ni je, this month only. Okay, today only, langsung tak mengumpat. Ke tak sempat? You get what I mean? Clear? Okay, for the woman who does not cover themselves or whatever, for me, I would say there's other things which is more priority. The most priority is, number one, submission to God. Because the meaning of Islam itself is willing submission to God. Being a good Muslim is to submit to God. Once you have this iman, taqwa, insyaAllah, then you go step by step. Now, whatever commandment in Islam that God gives you is for whose benefit? It's for our benefit. And if you do not follow, it will be whose loss? Our loss. When everybody follow, God is not going to increase His power even little bit. If nobody follows, God is not going to lose His power even little bit. But it is for our own benefit. Now Islam gives you the answer how to have inner beauty and also outer beauty together. But if you do not follow the commandment of God, then how can you also claim you have inner beauty? See the point? So I hope in these 3 minutes I do answer the question. This is a very big question. Can be one of the titles for the forum. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, the sister at the back, please answer. Please pose your questions.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Diana. My question is related to parenting skills about woman responsibility. May I speak in Malay instead? Because I'm afraid that the question.
Okay, speak in Chinese too.
Okay. Okay, hari ni kita didepankan dengan satu statement. Sebenarnya statement yang sangat lama lah. Yang mana perempuan ni kalau belajar tinggi-tinggi pun akan duduk dapur. Bukan nak condemn mana-mana pihak, tapi kita menyedari hari ni peranan ibu tu sangat penting dalam mendidik anak-anak. Jadi kalau nak compare antara ilmu agama yang perlu diterapkan kepada anak-anak dalam Islam sendiri, ibu adalah orang yang paling dekat dengan anak-anak. Jadi perlu tak perempuan ni belajar tinggi-tinggi ataupun mereka hanya perlu mengukuhkan ilmu agama, the basic, so that untuk anak yang akan lahir nanti they can provide all the religious basis untuk anak tu sebaik mungkin. So which one is crucial? Untuk perempuan persediaan menjadi seorang ibu, ada satu pegangan agama ataupun kefahaman agama yang sangat mendalam, ataupun belajar tinggi-tinggi, in the end kerja 2-3 tahun, bila dah ada anak, kena jaga anak. Okay, that is my question.
Okay, before I pass the mic to Brother Shah, because she talks so fast, so I have to talk so very fast also, because the time is running out. So Brother Shah, in these 3 minutes, please answer the questions, and as well, please give your conclusions, because as a sign of the believer is that we must on time. Because they already extend the time for us until 11 o'clock, so you only have 3 minutes. 3 minutes, wrap up, and then the next questions, get ready. Immediately we go to it. After 30 seconds, nobody pose a question, then we're going to say thank you, TQVM. So Brother Shah, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I'll answer. You want me to answer in English or Malay? English? Okay. Okay. When you speak about education, this is one of the rights that is given in Islam 1,400 years ago to the women. It is actually fardu ain, meaning compulsory. Compulsory to actually give education to your sons and to your daughters. That is Islam. But the culture, sometimes it is the culture of some communities that do not allow women to study higher. The first revelation from the Quran is from Surah Al-Alaq, chapter 96, verse number 1. Iqra bismi rabbika ladzi khalaq. Read, recite, proclaim in the name of your Lord who has created. So education is very important. Number 2, I would like to say, the first university that was built, especially in the history of Islam, more than 1,000 years ago, not University Al-Azhar. That is not the first university. Earlier than that, the first person to build university in Islam is actually a woman, a lady, by the name of Fatima Al-Fikri. She used her own money to build the university, and while it was being built, she supervised the development of the university. And in Islam, women can study in university more than 1,000 years ago. But in the West, it was only in the 19th century that women were actually allowed to study in university. Can you see that? And the living proof today, you can visit most of the universities in Malaysia. Majority of the university in Malaysia, most of the students are women. Agree with me?
Yes.
And one living proof is in the room itself. So actually, Islam never said women are only not to study and only your place is in the kitchen. It doesn't say that. Okay, throughout the history, from the time of Prophet Muhammad until today, continuous, women have very important role to play, and many of the great scholars in Islam, among their teachers were also women. Hope that answers the question. Thank you. And also the conclusion, I would just like to say this in a very short time because we're running out of time. I'll just take Surah Tawbah chapter 9, verse number 71. Almighty God says in the Quran, for example, it says, among the believing men and women are helpers to one another, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, doing amar ma'ruf nahi munkar. That is freedom of speech. Now, men and women in Islam are partners, helping one another, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong. So, brothers and sisters, this has been a pleasure to be here with you. Even though the questions are actually hot and spicy, I hope we have actually answered the questions. I hope we actually give you more enlightenment instead of darkness. And it's a pleasure to come back again to UTP. And hopefully, inshallah, see you again next time. And TQVM. May God bless all of us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, we have the next questions, which is supposed to pose to either Dr. Subra or Dr. Livingwood. And the countdown to 30 seconds start from now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Okay, he will pass you the mic. Possible? Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nurliana Hamdan, and I am from the Faculty of Geoscience. So, my question will be to the both of you, Dr. Lee and also Mr. Subra.
What?
Is it okay? Okay. Either one could answer my question.
Okay.
So, for us, history plays a major role in empowering us through stories. Like, for example, from Islam, we learn that the best teachers, like Sayyidatina Aisha and also Fatima, the one that she told us before about in university. So my question is, how about in other religion, either in Hinduism or Christian? is there any story about women playing a major role in the upbringing of religion, especially in empowering through education or anything? That's the question.
Okay, maybe Dr. Subra would like to answer this. Yeah, because just now another jaw size, now another jaw. So we better pass it to you, inshallah.
Okay. Okay. For your knowledge, there are. In Hinduism, there are two classes of society. The man world and the woman world. So that is a fact. They have been always they want to put down the woman. But nonetheless, in our history, especially the religious wording, especially during Mahabharata and Ramayana, even a woman's pride, like in Ramayana, the Sita they call, she, there are many kings will come to woo for her to, to get married. Let me say, all the groups have to go for a fight, for. They have some games, testing who is the best man to win her. That means she was in the pedestal. That means gaining, and she shows a very good example how a woman should live. Okay, that for example that is in our culture. But nonetheless, in our ancient history, there are still a lot of women who has actually attained the even the latest like Sarada Devi, and I can quote many names, which you don't know who are they, but Sarada Devi, Amma, all this.